Good evening. I'm Michael Loomis, hanging out here with you on Thursday night, March the 5th, 2026. Checking back in for another night of broadcasting here on YouTube. And I'd like to think I have billions and billions of watchers out there, but I don't think I have any viewers at this point. That's okay. I'm not doing this for the sake of having any kind of live audience. My goal in life for now is to simply become more comfortable with doing this kind of broadcasting, but also to practice my who I am and who I have been for the last 25 years. I've been a communicator. I got my first degree was in communications. Uh, as well, I spent about 10 years working in broadcasting, working behind a microphone. I have a face made for radio. And, I would like to think that there is going to be some point in the future where I'm going to be teaching. And so I want to get to a point where I can just be as comfortable as possible sharing information like, uh, let's see, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I've been collecting a lot of information over the last 8 years as I've been doing the best I can to improve the quality of my life and health. I am someone at some point in time that ran into a health issue that kind of scared me, and it was a an inflection point in my life that motivated me to start making better decisions. And so I've spent the last 8 years just doing just that, and it's amazing how long it can take to. I mean, it's amazing how long it has taken me to get to where I'm at, as if I've arrived, which I know for a fact that I haven't, because 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm probably gonna be doing things differently than I do now. Looking back, saying, "Oh, why didn't I see this then? I wish I would have seen this then." But overall, I think uh, I'm pretty forgiving with myself because, I mean, who isn't forgiving with themselves? I think we all are. We're all pretty good at it. Um, I think we're also pretty good at fooling ourselves, and we tend to buy our own press pretty darn easily. And so that being said, again, it's Thursday night. That means I've got, well, let's see, Saturday night is my popcorn night, just like Tuesday night. I just finished having a nice big salad, and oh man, I am full. I ate a little bit later than I usually do. I tend to have a general rule where most nights I would love to be done with eating by 6 p.m., but occasionally that doesn't happen. I'm currently between uh, between modules in my education. What that means is that at my school, Arizona State University, I am uh, on the quarter system where you take, if you're the minimum amount of units for full-time status is 12 units. If you're taking 4 3-unit classes, that would be taking 2 classes at a time. Uh, yeah, 2 3-unit courses for session A and 2 3-unit courses for session B. Right now, I am between session A and session B, and next week is our spring break. So I'm at a point right now where I have no deadlines, I have no assignments, I have no due dates, and it's kind of nice. But I'm also somebody that has a tendency to feel kind of like I'm a little boat at drift in the ocean when I don't have boundaries. But that's okay. You know, I've been able to get other things done. Like today, I got out and um, got the yard work done. I actually sat down on my bed over here, this thing, and I watched some videos and intentionally took a little nap for about 15 minutes. It's always occasionally fun. I didn't need to take one. I just kind of wanted to, I guess you could say, go into a meditative trance-like state, and so I did. Um, got out again this morning for another nice long walk, a little over 4 miles, almost 10,000 steps. Walked over to Long Beach City College, which is to my classroom that I go to on Mondays uh, in the D building. It was about 1.87 miles, I think, and it took like 43 minutes. And pretty cool thing. I actually got to run into a guy that lives over in the country club, and his name was Freddie, and he had a pachinko machine in his garage. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that. It's it was a form of gambling, if you will, from Japan in, I believe it was like the 1950s and 60s, and it was like an upright pinball machine where you had the little arm here and you'd go blink on it, like see like the little door handle I have here, or yes, that door handle. You'd pull down on it, plink, and this ball, little round metal ball, would go up and it would bounce off all these little things that look like nails, and it would fall in certain little cups. And if it landed in certain little cups, it would reward you by giving you back a certain amount of balls. And I guess you could take those little metal balls and trade them in at the end of the night, and I guess you could walk away with $1 more than you came in with, or whatever. Anyways, I had one of those when I was a kid, and part of me kind of wishes I still had it because it was a neat thing to have. But you know what? When I turned 18 or 19 and I married my first wife, Tanya, I told my parents, let's just sell it at a garage sale. It had been sitting out in the garage. And I think I did that with a lot of my stuff from when I was a teenager. And I wish I wouldn't have. I know at some point I had a lot of records. I had all manner of things I wish I had back. I wish I had still had my 8-bit Nintendo, my Sega Genesis, all those fun game systems. I wish I had those back, and all those games and everything. And man, I don't know why I got rid of them. Shame on me. Anyways, so I got out this morning, and I didn't plan very well, and so I didn't get to listen to really any videos that just jumped out at me, or any stories that just leapt off the page or anything like that. Usually I like to come back here and talk a little bit about some of the things that I've been learning. And what I can say is I know I've been talking about vitamin C quite a bit. I've been experimenting with up regulating my intake of vitamin C to see what difference it makes. And I I have no overnight success expectations. I do expect that in about probably the next 2 or 3 months, I should, if I'm going to notice any major differences, I'll see it in that kind of time frame. I am sleeping better for sure. There's no question about that. I do in general feel better. I would like to say that I've got a better understanding of how vitamin C works, and I do because I've been doing a lot of reading about vitamin C as far as how the medical and scientific world understands how it works within the human body, and it's pretty fascinating. I know there have been a lot of people. There was one gentleman many years back by the name of Linus Pauling that uh, he focused a lot on like very high doses of vitamin C, like tremendous amounts, like 20, 30, 40, 50 times the amount necessary, over the recommended daily allowance. For myself, 2 to 300 milligrams a day is about what I'm getting, and from what I understand, once your body has reached its point of saturation, I from what I understand, really anything above 300 milligrams a day is just going to end up in the toilet. However, there are some people that believe that it will cure all manner of disease by just consuming way too much of it. And I think I know I will choose to be very careful to not attribute individual things like vitamin C to being a magic placebo pill or a magic solution to one or many problems. I've come to learn over my years of study that there are always going to be some people that think that something like clarified or like MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides, that is a fractionated version of coconut oil that is a medium chain triglyceride. MCT is, I believe, somewhere between like 8 and 10 carbon chains or whatever, is this one, very narrow area of triglycerides, and it'll do all this magical work. Well, I think more than anything, what it is ultimately is a low dose antibiotic, basically. And that people are being sold on this idea that it will do all kinds of magic. You just have to consume it. Well, yes, if you have any kind of intestinal overgrowth of, whether it be yeast, bacteria, or fungi, if you can, MCT8, MCT oil, caprylic acid, I believe it is, or caprylic. Anyways, it will kill off any kind of overgrowth that you might have in your GI tract. So in that sense, yes, if you have a pathological overgrowth of any specific kind of microorganism inside you, that's the point of antibiotics. And so whether it's full strength antibiotics or a low dose antibiotic like MCT oil, it's irrelevant. They're both doing the same thing. One requires a doctor's prescription, the other doesn't. And it's not that the MCT oil does the magic, it's just understanding how what's happening when you consume that. And yes, vitamin C has some very beneficial effects overall for people when it comes to health and longevity, but it's not a magic solution. And usually, most people, once they get to the point where they're very familiar with vitamin C and they are becoming religious about utilizing it, they've also made a bunch of other good, high quality decisions in their life. Things like exercise, better quality sleep, better quality food and diet. Um, and so they might think it's the vitamin C that's doing the magic, but it's all a part of the bigger picture. And for me, the way I understand exactly what's happening, and I'll just read a little bit of um, one of the conclusions that I came to earlier today, and that it is that vitamin C is not a miracle nutrient, but it supports several biological systems that are essential for maintaining tissue integrity, metabolic function, and immune defense. When vitamin C status is chronically low, those systems operate less efficiently, which can negatively affect health and quality of life. Maintaining adequate vitamin C levels, therefore, appears to be an important component of long term physiological maintenance. And I think that's a really good way to look at it. And don't get me wrong, I can definitely say that I wish that I would have been more focused on having a saturation level of vitamin C all throughout my life, because I know I'm pretty certain for a fact that at 53 years of age, had I always had a sufficient serum status of vitamin C in my body at all times, I would probably look and feel significantly younger. That being said, at 53 years of age, I've already been doing things the way that I should have been doing all along for probably about 7 or 8 years now. I've had to make some course corrections along the way, and I've tried all manner of different things to see ultimately what difference different diets and lifestyle choices can make, because quite frankly, we all have individual bodies, and there's no one prescription I can say that is right for all people. I mean, outside of a few things, your body needs exercise. Use it or lose it. You need to have strength. You don't need to have big muscles. You need to have strength. You need to have the right amount of sleep. You have to have the right amount of hydration. You have to have the right amount of electrolytes and all of the what you would call the essential vitamins and minerals. The minerals are what I would also and have been referring to as electrolytes. And then on top of that, eat a whole food diet. Just, you know, you have to have, I think it's very important to eat only whole foods, foods that our body would recognize today as foods like people would have had in their annual, cyclical diet hundreds of years ago before man got involved and started making processed or hyper processed foods. Because the way I understand mankind is that we've been around for an awfully long time, probably longer than we think, and that ultimately our body has a strong mechanism, a strong, how do I say this? We are, as humans, able to adapt pretty well. However, we tend to, when it comes to our bodies and our interaction with environmental stimuli, they're very slow to make changes unless there has been some kind of catastrophic failure that requires a quick change. And then it's just going to be probably not the best quality of life thereafter, but it can adapt. And that's one of the wonders of the human body. Um, anyways, from my notes yesterday, I there was a couple of questions I did not get to, and I wanted to bring those up because it really made me kind of think twice about any kind of future that I would have where I would be helping people improve the quality of their life, deal with food addictions, or anything of that sort. And I guess the question, one of the questions I would ask people is, what does feeling good mean to you? You know, if you could wake up one day and just be able to say at every turn, damn, I feel good. Describe that to me. What does feeling good mean to you? What does that look like? What would that look like throughout your entire day? And what can I do to help you achieve that? And so those are two questions that I did not get to yesterday, but I think those two things are really, really, really important. And you know, like the title of this video that's going to be down here somewhere, uh, be the only. You know, this idea of don't be the best, be the only. And that was actually a quote from Kevin Kelly, the Wired co-founder, futurist, and author of Excellent Advice for Living. He put it perfectly when he said, don't be the best, be the only. The core idea being competing to be number one in a crowded, well-defined category is exhausting and often a losing game long term. Everyone's benchmarked against the same metrics, copying each other's moves, watching their back, and grinding for marginal gains. Even if you reach the top spot, somebody hungrier is going to come along and they're going to take it from you. So, that being said, don't try and do what everybody else is doing and try to do it better than them. Find your own thing, man. And you know, be the only person doing it. I look at, you know, three examples I can think of is Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and gosh, I can't remember his name now, the founder of the internet, you know, but also people like Jeff Bezos. You know, they were the only people doing what they were doing specifically, and they were really good at it. And I think that's what makes the difference, because once they set themselves apart and they got so far ahead of the pack that even if number 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or when number 10, 20, 30, 50, 800 or number 1200 comes along thinking, hey, I can beat Jeff Bezos. No, man, I think you're missing the point. You got to find the new thing, whatever that is, that next thing that was like Amazon. Don't try and compete with Amazon. Plenty of people are already trying to do that. He even came along at a time where there was already a retailer in place doing that, and that retailer was called newegg.com. Matter of fact, I'm going to look that up and see if they're still around. Newegg.com. Hey, look at that. They are still around. Computer stuff. Anyways, but there have always been retailers online. It's just Amazon. Jeff Bezos came along and did it better. And so don't even try and compete with what he's doing if you want to be successful. Be the next Amazon in whatever that field is. Be the only one and be the best at that. And then let everybody else try and catch up. And another thought that I was presented with today, actually, that I did hear on a lecture was this idea that AI is not going to take your job in the near future. May someday, but in the near future, what's going to happen is AI is not going to take your job, but somebody who knows how to use AI better than you very may will. Wait, may very well. Sorry. Anyways, I'm getting kind of loopy here. It's getting kind of late at night, and I need to wrap things up because, well, it's now 8:41, and I should have had this video done like 2 hours ago. Anyways, I'm Michael Loomis, and to all my kids, grandkids, great grandkids that might come across this in the future, I just wanted to say hi to you guys, and just wanted to let you know that I have been thinking about you before I even knew you, and that's why I'm here doing this. And I do look forward to the time when the technology becomes available that we can take all of my videos and all of the words that I've used and be able to place them into an AI generated version of me that has had access to all of these words that I've said making these videos, and my voice, my mannerisms, the things I do with my hands, and makes them available for you, my kids, my grandkids, my great grandkids, and or anybody else that wants to interact with me, because that's just the future I see. And if I don't leave this information out there, there's not going to be any information to draw on. So that's why I'm doing this. Anyhow, I'm going to check out for now. I will see you tomorrow night. That'll be Friday, March the 5th. In the meantime, have a great night, and we'll see you next time.